fries. You see a kid with a great big wig in such a dish, where you get mad. By the tennis court, you know, even for the sport. 8 years old and scary, she's gonna have a ordinary old bear. So I got catch him, and probably pitch slap him. Listen up, take a seat, get home. Kiss him back. Kids are too fast.
Okay, clearly I'm doing child obesity, and throughout the United States, child obesity has been increasing at an alarming rate. Unfortunately, this has become an epidemic in the United States and will continue to spread throughout the rest of the world. It has grown considerably in the past 2 decades and tripled 15% in the last 30 years. Sadly, 1 in every 4 children is considered obese and is prominent in American Indians. 1 in every 3 of them suffers from a mild or severe case of obesity. Do any of you know or have any siblings, parents, or family members who suffer from obesity? Today, I will expand your knowledge on the epidemic of obese children in the United States. What is obesity? According to an ad by Google, obesity is a life-threatening disease affecting 34% of Americans in the United States, and nearly 67% of Americans in the United States are either overweight or obese. According to the science blog, obesity weight must be at least 10% higher than the recommended for their age or height. Doctors calculate if a child is obese or overweight by using the numbers from the BMI scale. BMI stands for Body Mass Index, and it is a mathematical formula in which a person's weight in pounds is divided by the square of a person's height in inches, and this result is then multiplied by 703. Thanks to the Centers of Disease Control and Prevention, we can now realize easily if a child is overweight. For example, let's say we have a 13-year-old boy who weighs 190 pounds and is 5'5". His BMI would calculate to around 31.6, which clearly would indicate that he has hit his capacity of weight. Obesity has many factors that contribute to how obesity forms, such as genetic, behavioral patterns, the environment, and social demographics. First, genetics are a huge role in obesity. Family genes are prominent tremendously due to the fact that genes are passed down and can lead to obesity after birth. In some cases, parental obesity is a stronger predictor of childhood overweight than the child's weight alone. Although parental genes are passed on to the child, weight gain and obesity can be achieved by behavioral patterns as well. Behavioral patterns include nutrition, physical activity, and electronics. Children's nutrition in today's society has drastically changed over the years. For instance, time spent at home was based around family and dinner time. In today's family, supper consumption is significantly different than the past years. Food places have become extremely popular in the sense that they're fast, convenient, and good tasting. However, fast food has begun to hinder the health of children worldwide. Many diseases have risen due to child obesity, such as cardiovascular disease, high blood pressure, cholesterol, sleep apnea, asthma, liver damage, type 2 diabetes, which are all causing heart diseases. Clearly, these warning signs are not enough or potent to the parent's taste, because considering the eating habits have yet to change for both child and parent. The calorie intake of children is beginning to increase rapidly without the energy of exercise being introduced. Today's technology has significantly hindered children in the United States because exercise outside play has been outruled by computer games, Xboxes, PS3s, and such. Children would rather stay inside the house and socialize that way rather than have physical activity be involved. Statistically shown by J. Bellows and Roach, children are prone to more likely exercise regularly as adults than if they did as children. Unfortunately, school activities were the way parents were depending on physical activity through physical education time. Physical education in school has been greatly decreased due to the time allotted to it because subjects such as math, English, and science have been taking over. Furthermore, not only have physical aspects accounted for obesity in children, environment is a great deal of time and place that influence children. The environment usually, mentally and physically shapes a child's life due to how it changes. Settings in a child's life, such as the home, childcare, school, and community centers, feed children different types of food. For example, when I was in grade school, I attended daycare almost every day. Around 4 o'clock, we were served snacks. These consisted of nachos, corn dogs, yogurts, cheese and crackers, breadsticks, etc. Whereas at the home or different place, a child can be fed different foods such as vegetables or fruit. Children learn their eating and physical activity habits through school, which can negatively impact their lives forever. With this in mind, currently today's fast food places are making items double, even triple the size of what they used to be. Take, for instance, McDonald's or Carl's Jr. The Big Mac and $6 burger are exceeding the size of America and are increasingly growing on American size. The size of obesity in America is not only affecting them physically, but emotionally as well. Kids who suffer from obesity or being overweight have many mental problems, one in particular such as depression and self-esteem. Unfortunately, kids who suffer from both depression and self-esteem issues are at risk for adulthood to these issues and can ultimately hinder one's life. A study at the University of Medicine and Dentistry of New Jersey found that obese girls aged 13 to 14 are 4 times more likely to experience low self-esteem than non-obese girls. The study also reported that obese girls and boys with low self-esteem have higher rates of loneliness, sadness, and nervousness. A recent University of Minnesota study reveals that children who were teased about being overweight were more likely to have poor body image, low self-esteem, and symptoms of depression. The study found that 2% of teens who were teased at school and home reported they considered suicide, and 9% of them attempted it. Suicide is the third leading cause of death among adolescents. Sadly, depression can affect many different types of people, including obesity. Although these children are at greater risk for hurting themselves, they also are likely to abuse alcohol and drugs on a daily basis. This can lead to many harmful actions that are brought about by depression. Clearly, the size of your child states if he or she is obese, but many warning signs can appear. According to Dr. David Faxler, some emotional dysfunctions start by noticing what is changing your child will have dramatic decrease in happiness. Some changes are reduced energy, reluctant to have social relationships, sad and lonely expressions of themselves, few friends, thoughts of suicide, obsessed with food or drinks, sleeping too much or too little, and does not enjoy school or school-related activities. In order to limit these changes or just help your overweight child, many activities can be done to avoid these behaviors. By talking to your child about his or her feelings can start a new beginning for themselves. Creating strategies and situations in order to increase eating habits can help as well. Setting examples and ways of healthy habits of exercising and less snacking may increase their metabolism, allowing them to eat less food but more frequently. Limit time on computer games and television, and do not reward your kid or punish them with food. With this in mind, I have provided you with all the effects, causes, and prevention techniques in order to help a child from being obese or a child who already suffers from obesity. These things have critical influence on children at such ages, and only you as a parent, sibling, or family member can ultimately protect them from these harmful situations.
So, Joe, what did you think?
I thought it was an amazing speech. Learned a lot. Like, I didn't know obesity could be passed down by genes. She projected voice well. Was just like the intro. It caught my eye. It was clear and straightforward. It was just a really good speech.
All right, well, the video is okay as an attention device. It's the only visual that you have, so at best it creates a little interest at the beginning of the speech, but it doesn't explain anything that you're talking about. The topic is clearly identified, and I think you have a very good thesis, but I did not hear a very explicit preview statement, and that becomes a problem later on because you start data dumping and you're running through a whole list of a litany of this and that, and here are the harms, and here are the symptoms, and here are the solutions, and here's something else, and here's one study that found the following 15 effects, and it all starts to run together. You need a clearer structure, and you need to preview that structure. You do have a lot of supporting material in the presentation. It's obvious that you've got some content. There's a lot of research here, but I think you need to be a little bit more selective about some of the content and maybe use some alternative ways of describing and talking about that so that it doesn't sound so droll and academic and pedantic that you're just giving us the study, for instance. The best example that I thought you had was when you were talking about the one kid figuring out his BMI index. You've got a hypothetical illustration that you're talking about, and then as soon as you use that, you drop it and move on to another study, another list, another study, another list. And I just think that if you personalize this a little bit more, it would be helpful. I did like your own example that you talked about the kinds of snacks that you got in the daycare that you had, but you rushed through that so much it sounds almost impersonal. I think the presentation is a little bit problematic, and